This is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean. This video is going to be about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Now, I know nothing's been confirmed, it hasn't been made official, but I want to do an early thoughts video on this fight anyway. Now, I can start by saying that I've got mixed feelings about the fight. On the one hand, it's a fight I really want to see. It's very exciting, intriguing, a fight I've wanted to see for a long time. Obviously, the Joshua Wilder saga has been very fucking boring for quite a long time. So this is quite an interesting new angle, and it's definitely quite exciting. But on the other hand, I definitely would prefer to see Tyson Fury going into it with a bit more momentum, a bit better form, and seeing him looking a bit better against serious opponents. Because he's been out the ring for a very long time, and not just like a long time, in the gym, keeping himself in good shape, but just hasn't had a fight. Seriously, down and out. Massively overweight, heavily drinking, eating all types of rubbish, never going to the gym, doing a load of drugs. How many, we don't know. Serious depression, mental health issues. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a case of someone who's just hasn't had a fight for a couple of years. Vladimir Klitschko, for example, he was inactive. I don't know how long it was before Joshua, but he was training for fight. He was like a complete physical specimen throughout. Do you know what I mean? This is a completely different kettle of fish. Now, if you look at there was a going into the Klitschko fight, I remember when David Haye pulled out a couple of times, Tyson Fury went off the rails a little bit, nothing like to this extent, but he did get quite overweight, going out drinking, probably did a little bit of coke here and there as well, I don't know, but nothing like the state he was in this time. But he came back and he had two fights going into that fight. The first one was Derek Chisora, and the second one was Christian Hammer. Now, I think we can all agree that Derek Chisora and Christian Hammer are significantly better than Pianeta and Safari. Starting off with Chisora, he looked very, very good in that fight. Battered Chisora, and Chisora, top 10 heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? Gave like Vitaly Klitschko probably his hardest fight since Lennox Lewis. One of the hardest fights of his career. Gave everyone a hard fight. He was knocked out by David Haye, but he was winning that fight really. David Haye just caught him with a peach of a punch. Went in there, really just put a beating on him, schooled him, dominated him, and made Chisora quit. Then fought Christian Hammer. Now Christian Hammer, you can say maybe sort of top 15 heavyweight at that point. He was, he was decent. He was much better than Pianeta, and that was just a much more solid performance. Knocked him out. I think he quit as well, didn't he? Actually, I think he quit on his stool. He made two of them in a row. Quit on the stool, if I'm not mistaken. But he knocked Hammer down a couple of times. Just looked much better physically, a lot stronger. Now the Safari fight was obviously just getting the cobwebs off, showing that that he could sort of get back to that, losing all the weight, and that as people say, it was more about the event. Now Safari, massively overmatched, got hit a couple of times and then just quit. I think he just thought, yeah, this is a joke. I've got my money. I'm not just going to take a beating. I can't land a punch on him. Next fight, Pianeta. Now Pianeta, I thought Fury at times looked pretty good. There was some good moments in there, like quick hands. Showed quite good upper body movement and all that. But his feet didn't look the same to me. He looked a bit slower on his feet. And more significantly, he just looked like he's lost quite a lot of strength and power. Now Fury is not known as like a big knockout artist, but when he plants his feet, he can punch pretty hard. Now in this one, he just Pianeta. I remember when he fought Vladimir Klitschko years ago, and everybody was like, "Who's this bloke?" He was like a sparring partner. He just got knocked out. He got knocked out recently by Kevin Johnson. I think he's ranked about 140th in the world. So there's no comparison going into this with the fights he had leading up to Klitschko. So that is a concern, obviously. We don't know what Tyson Fury is going to be like when he comes back. One thing I would say is that having fought those two, you would expect him now to be a little bit fitter, a little bit sharper, a little bit stronger. But I'd much prefer to see him I just want to see him fight against someone who's an actual legitimate threat. If you go in there and do a job on them, then I think, okay, yeah, let's see this Wilder fight. And now it really is like the best fighting the best. At the moment, it's just impossible to tell because Hughie Fury probably would have stopped Pianetta inside 6 rounds. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone half decent at like British level would have gone in there and just easily beaten Pianetta. Do you know what I mean? So it's not really giving too much away. I mean, that could be. I mean, one thing I do like about this is the sheer fuck offness of it from Fury. If he can, like, literally just, win the world title against Vladimir Klitschko, go on a binge, just do a load of coke, get pissed for ages, eat a load of roast dinners, curries, and burgers, then just come back, fight against Safari and Pianetta, and then go to Las Vegas and beat Wilder. The glory is ridiculous, isn't it? So that's something that I do like. I do like the reward element of it, because that would make it even sweet if he could go and do that, because no one would expect him to do it. Now, I do think that Fury is the kind of person that would thrive on that. I think he's the kind of person that loves everybody writing him off. Everybody wrote him off going into the Klitschko fight, but the reason why I don't take that much comfort from that is because I didn't. I thought he was going to beat Vladimir Klitschko. I thought, like, stylistically, I could see him beating Vladimir Klitschko quite comfortably, really. I thought Klitschko's obviously dangerous. He's got like a massive right hand, big left hook, huge puncher, obviously very skilled. But I did see Klitschko's having a puncher's chance in that fight. Same thing I see for Wilder. The difference is, like, the preparation going into that fight, I think, was a lot better. I think he was physically much fitter and physically a lot stronger as well. Now, people say that Klitschko didn't really do anything. To be honest, Klitschko got hit hard a few times in that fight, and that's what put him off. Now, obviously, the range, Klitschko's a master of range, like Tyson. So he could generally control the range. He was fighting against people normally a bit shorter than him, and that did have something to do with it. But also, like, the Fury put him in his place a little bit, hit him quite hard, got on the inside on him, and kind of pushed him back a bit. And he's physically strong. So, is he going to have that same strength against Wilder? Now, Wilder's smaller than Klitschko in terms of, like, physically. He probably hits as hard as Klitschko, but, like, physically he's thinner. He's not a big heavyweight. He's a tall heavyweight, but he's not as big. So, in terms of, like, in the clinch and stuff like that, you think. I mean, Deontay Wilder's clearly very strong, like, pound for pound. He's obviously. You look at him, there's nothing wasted on him. He's just sort of solid muscle, like, thin, but he's. I mean, he just. He looks like a sort of perfect athlete, really. But in terms of the sheer body mass of Tyson, is just a lot bigger. Everything, bones bigger, he's wider, his head's bigger, shoulders bigger, legs are bigger. He's just physically a lot heavier. So I think that could be an advantage for him on the inside. But it is a worry to me, like, has he lost some of that? Because judging from that Safari fight, it definitely looked like he did, because he was hitting. I mean, yeah, possibly he was holding something back, and he wasn't really trying to, like, take his head off, but still, he didn't really look like he was doing any damage at all, which I would have liked to have seen. I would like to have seen it, the last couple of rounds. I was happy they got the rounds in, but it doesn't give me 100% confidence that he's going to be able to go in there and just really kind of physically impose himself on Wilder when he needs to. Because, like, Wilder is quite a cautious fighter. Do you know what I mean? I mean, part of it is his style. He's looking for that perfect punch, and he's very. He's like a sniper, isn't he? People say he's just trying to set you up for that, right? So he's not going in there and really trying to force the pace, which I think could benefit Fury in this. Because Tyson Fury, I mean, Deontay Wilder is not someone who's going to really force the pace on him. Do you know what I mean? He's not a pressure fighter. He's not someone who's got high volume. So Tyson Fury can potentially, if he's looking for that big right hand, then Tyson Fury is a bad opponent to be fighting against, because he's not going to He's not going to give you that many opportunities. He's not going to do the same thing that many times. He's not going to be able to, like, Deontay Wilder will like sort of set you up and sort of see what you're doing. He'll work out like what your sort of patterns of movement are, and he'll try and catch you. Tyson Fury is not someone who gives you that many opportunities like that. So I think like Wilder, in that sense, as dangerous as he isn't going to be in prime position to exploit a potential lack of fitness on Fury's part. So I think what Fury needs to do is mix it up a lot, which I think he will do. I think he can outbox Wilder at range. He can switch southpaw, box him from that, and outbox him as well from there. And what he needs to do is, at time, get in on the inside, wrap him up. A bit like I said in the post-fight video, like he did against Steve Cunningham. Now some people are going to say, "Oh, Steve Cunningham is no Deontay Wilder." Obviously not, but he's not that much bigger than Cunningham, than what I don't think in terms of weight. But I don't doubt that he's stronger, but I've never really seen Wilder get roughed up to the body, and Tyson Fury is a good body puncher. Now, if Deontay Wilder can show me something different in this fight, if he could because sometimes people show you something, and if he can start like working the body on Fury, that would be quite a good tactic for him, because obviously Tyson Fury is going to need to move around quite a bit at times and frustrate Wilder. Wilder obviously got very poor balance, have him like swinging, missing, tripping over himself. That's what he's going to want to need to do at various times. If Deontay Wilder can actually suddenly turn into a bit of a body puncher and start like trying to slow Fury down, because Fury hasn't been hit hard for a very long time. In the last fight, obviously Vladimir Klitschko, that was a long time ago. Safari, I don't know if he even hit him. Pianetta very rarely hit him, and that's no preparation for Wilder in terms of punching. It's like being hit by a middleweight compared to a heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? So if he could get in there and like sort of work the body a bit on Fury, then that would be a good tactic for him. But I just don't really see him doing that. I see him as a one-trick pony, really. He's got a pretty decent jab, like when he wants to use it, and he's got like a reasonable left hook. It's not like I don't see the left hook landing on like Fury. I don't see it being much of a weapon. I do think it comes down to his right hand, and he's going to need to catch Fury with that. He's got like quite a good uppercut on the inside, but really, we know what Deontay Wilder is going to try and do. He knows what he's going to try and do. Fury knows what he's going to try and do. So it's just a case of whether he can land it and land it. People as well like saying, "Oh, he just needs to Fury can't get hit for 12 rounds." That's an exaggeration. Do you know what I mean? Now, Deontay Wilder, obviously we know he's a hard puncher, but people are talking about, he's sort of putting everyone to sleep. He's not really, is he? He knocked out Spilka. Like he was out cold. It was a vicious knockout. Spilka, he was a cruiserweight, really, isn't he? And he's not. Do you know what I mean? The other bloke, what's the other? I can't remember his name. But the bloke was on the floor having a bit of a seizure. And I've seen two Wilder knockouts that have been like brutal. And you think, wow, that looked bad. But generally speaking, people get like Luis Ortiz basically just sort of got exhausted, really, more than anything else. Gerald Washington, from what, just sort of walked across the ring. I don't know if there's a different camera angle. I've never found it from a different, because it just shows him just sort of walking off. So I don't know if he then slumped onto but that didn't look like a bad knockout. Pretty much every fight I've seen, basically people get stopped. I don't really see him sort of sparking everyone out like people saying. So Tyson Fury's been down a couple of times. He's been overhand right both times. Like Steve Cunningham, he got caught square on, boom, overhand right over the top, bang, put him on his ass. Same with the other guy, I can't remember his name. He got knocked down by someone else, not really a big puncher. Again, same thing, square on, Tyson coming, bang, overhand right over the top. So he is susceptible to that. But Deontay Wilder is more straight down the middle. So the punch that Fury's been very vulnerable to is that overhand right. Now, obviously Wilder and his team are going to know that. Wilder does throw a good overhand right. Once he gets you hurt and then he sort of goes into the windmill mode, then those like punches start coming over the top. That would be the most dangerous point for Fury if he can, because he can stun him, and then he can just switch into windmill mode and bang. Then he could put Fury out. Definitely put him with that overhand right. But in terms of the actual fight itself, I don't see this sort of how Wilder just needs to like hit him once and then it's over. I mean, Fury got hit by Klitschko a few times, not many, but he got hit by quite a few times. The 2 times he did get knocked down, straight back up, basically bites on his gum shield and ends up beating the shit out of the opponent. You know what I mean? He doesn't get hit and then sort of go into his shell and start shitting. So no, he gets up and he's like, right, you're getting it. And he then really ups the ante. So, you know what I mean? I don't think it's just a case of like if Fury like gets hit, well he's done and dusted. It could be. I mean, Deontay Wilder is probably he's getting better. His last 2 performances. I mean, obviously like the Stavern one, we can't really take much from that. Stavern was in no state to be there, but still Wilder in the build up to that and in the actual fight, so he looked pretty good to me. He's like moving a bit better. The punches were real venom behind them, and he really did go in and do a demolition job. He did what you should do to an opponent in that sort of state. And against Luis Ortiz, he was getting outboxed. He got a bit of a beating on the round, but he sort of hung on in there, and he showed, you know, a better sort of ring IQ than people have given him credit for. He showed good perseverance. He was tough. I mean, he's sort of tougher than he looks. Because a lot of people just thought, yeah, because he looks quite skinny, he looks vulnerable, he got wobbled a few times, but he did show that he's quite tough. He's got a pretty decent chin. So Fury talking about knocking him out, I'd be surprised, to be honest, especially based on the Pianetta performance, unless he can really just sort of grind him down to the body. He could just show us something. I mean, Fury is the kind of person who can rise to the occasion. Now, could he do that? Could he sort of go in there, just take him by surprise? What I think would be the perfect fight for Fury would be like keep mixing it up, fighting him from outboxing him, making him hitting him. But he's going to need to hit him with some good counters early on and make Wilder think like, yeah, I'm not just going to rush through him. Because that's not really what Wilder does anyway. Wilder's like trying to catch you with the perfect shot. But if he does decide that, look, I'm just getting outboxed here, Fury can't really do me that much damage, I need to go in and look for it, he could do that, and then he could potentially just spark Fury out. So I think Fury needs to, hit him with something pretty solid early on. Then he needs to, mix it up southpaw. Then he needs to get on the inside, wear him down. Because people talk a lot about Deontay Wilder's stamina. We haven't seen what that stamina's like against someone like Fury, who's also got good stamina, who gets stronger as the fight goes on, and who can get on top of him, lean on him, pull him about a little bit, wear him down, body shots. That's what he would need to do, and if he does that, I think he can definitely slow Wilder down. So Wilder's going to be dangerous throughout the fight. You know what I mean? He's got, first of all, he's got very hard punches. He's also quick. He can move quickly. He can cover the ground very quickly because of his long arms. You saw that Stavern. I remember that. I know that was against a piss poor opponent, but still the way he sort of covered that distance and landed a punch. You can see Stavern was like, fuck. How did he manage to get there and do you know what I mean? Land that on me. Now Tyson Fury would need to be 100% switched on for the whole fight. I think he will be, but he's going to need a good gas tank on him. I mean, he can't because Wilder can just sort of come out of nowhere and swing something over the top. Tyson Fury gets hit with that overhand right. We've seen him get put on his arse twice. So Wilder is someone who he's basically more of a thinking fighter than people give him credit for. Do you know what I mean? He's always trying to set you up for something. Now, it may be a bit too long coming for a lot of people. Quite patient, he'll sort of give away loads of rounds, but he's trying to hit you with a big punch. So that's obviously what can happen, and that's what he's going to be looking for. But I think if Fury basically does everything right. And if he was holding something back, then I think he can go there and beat Wilder. The Wilder's obviously dangerous throughout the fight, but he's basically got a puncher's chance, doesn't he? He's not going to outbox Fury. He's not going to outland him. His volume isn't good enough. He's not going to be outboxing him on the back foot, like picking up points. That's not his style. He doesn't have the ability to do that to Tyson Fury. So the only way he's going to win the fight is by knocking him out. And I'll say the only way he's going to win the fight. He's done that 39 times. So that is quite a likely thing that can happen. Most people are going to be picking Wilder purely based on the inactivity of Fury and what he's shown against poor quality opposition going into this. Now, in an ideal world, I'd like to see Tyson Fury have. I'd just like to see him. It's not so much like a number of fights. I just like to see him fight against someone that's actually decent. Like Pianetta was 140 or whatever it was, 150 ranked in the world. He was. Yeah, he got the rounds in, but I would like to see him going against someone who you think, yeah, that's actually a decent opponent, take a few good punches and deal with someone like that. Then I would be very confident in picking him going into it. But as it stands, it is what it is. And I do like, as I said earlier, like the sheer fuck-offness of it for Fury. Just sort of come back and then go in against, one of the most dangerous opponents in the division. Go to Las Vegas, beat him, shock the world, and then set up that big fight with Anthony Joshua. But yeah, we'll have to see how he looks as well on the pads, how he looks sort of moving around, like what shape he looks in, and all this kind of stuff. But I always thought that Deontay Wilder would be a dangerous fight for Fury anyway, like regardless of what preparation he had going into it. I always thought that stylistically Deontay Wilder would be a tough fight for Fury just because of his unpredictability, because of his agility, very quick on his feet, and also just the power, and also the mentality that Wilder has. He's very, very vicious in there. You know what I mean? He's really trying to do damage to you. So Tyson Fury is good at messing you about, taking away your skill, just demoralising you. I see Deontay Wilder as someone who's going to be difficult to demoralise, and he's going to be in there for 12 rounds trying to take your head off. When you hit as hard as him, that's a very dangerous opponent. So if Fury goes like 12 rounds on the back foot, like trying to fight a range, I see it being really, really dangerous. I do think he needs to get on the inside and try and deplete Wilder's energy a bit and try and just use his size, use his physical size advantage. And I think that's what people are, potentially he can shock people to just sort of go in there, basically bully Wilder. That's going to sound crazy to a lot of people, especially based on what we just saw against Pianetta. But I think he can do it. Not constantly, but I think he needs to mix it up. But yeah, well, I think I've spoken about long enough for now. So let me know what you lot think. Obviously, if this gets confirmed, we can get more and more into it. I'm going to make there's a few things I want to talk about, so I'm going to hopefully make a few more videos over the next couple of days. Thank you very much for watching.